I came from an industry that was all about youth. I didn't want to talk about menopause, but now I'm saying it like 50 times a day.
Tamsen Fadal is an Emmy award-winning journalist and midlife mentor. After more than 3 decades as a news anchor, Tamsen pivoted her career towards women's advocacy, guiding her audience of over 4 million.
I knew what I wanted to talk about. I had faith in what the message was. I didn't have faith in what the execution was.
I think people had a lot of faith in you too.
When I look at it, I'm so proud of what we did. We distill the information that women didn't have and make it understandable.
Your social media has grown so quickly.
It's just the fact that we're all having the same things going on. And I think that made a huge difference.
What did you uncover looking into sexual health care options for women?
I had no idea there were so many different options for men and none for women. I'm not a doctor, but advocacy can come in different ways. The hard thing about being a woman is that no one else is going to do it for us. We have to pay attention to ourselves. Really hard to do when there's a million things going on.
Expert care for menopause and sexual health, now just a click away. Virtual Care by Her MD offers longer visits, personalized treatment plans, and trusted providers, all from the comfort of home. Learn more at hermd.com. This episode was sponsored by Her MD. I can't get over myself. I love this. When work and friends collide, I feel like I'm sitting down with a conversation with my bestie. Hi, Tamsen.
You are. Good to see you.
Great to see you. You've been busy.
We've all been a little busy. There's a billion women going out there that need help.
They need help. So menopause is no longer a punchline.
Yeah.
It's a power shift.
Yeah, it's so true.
And today, my guest, my friend, Tamsen, helped change the way we talk about it publicly. And what I love about it, unapologetically. We can't start crying already. I'm looking at you and I'm getting so emotional. Talking about menopause on national TV, I was told impossible.
Yeah.
You were told unthinkable.
Yeah.
And you didn't wait for permission. You went first. You went head first. And so you were one of the first in your public-facing industry to publicly announce, hey, I'm in menopause. How did you feel in that moment? Were you terrified?
Yeah. I came from an industry that was all about youth and trying to maintain that as long as possible. So menopause was nothing I didn't want to talk about birthdays, more or less menopause. And I didn't know anything about perimenopause, so that wasn't really helpful. But yeah, I think it's like, when I first heard the word, really that I was in menopause, I thought, oh my gosh, if people hear about this is like really the symbol that I have gotten to that age. But now I'm saying it like 50 times a day and, anywhere I can say it.
People are yelling it from their cars,
People
right?
are yelling
At
it
you?
from their cars to me.
Were you worried about backlash?
I had like snickering and like a little, but yeah, I was. I think that people are uncomfortable with it at first because it's not something we've normalized. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's just like, because that's what we've done in the media, right? It was done in movies and done in TV. We've mocked it a lot, because it's something that either we don't understand or we want to kind of dismiss or we want to not feel like some kind of, mark of you're old. But yeah, I was worried about that. And I think I had reason to be because I think that we've seen a lot in the industry I was in anyway, is that, I had a woman warn me a long time ago. I was in my 30s and she goes, remember, there's never going to be an older woman sitting next to a younger guy, but there's always going to be a younger woman sitting next to an older guy at the end. And she was right about that. Now we've seen a lot change, obviously, but at the time when she said that, she was really right. And that's one of those things like you never forget. I never forgot that.
Well, your decision to be so transparent and authentic is actually the way we met. You hear most dating stories that way, right?
What's our dating story?
As I DM'd you, that's how we met.
It is how we met.
And you actually answered.
Yes, I did.
I was like, hi, my name is Dr. Somi, and I have this company, and I see menopause patients, and they're so excited. And I don't even know if you realize, but you're changing the game because they're listening to you. They're watching your bravery. And there wasn't even an ask. It was just like, thank you for your authenticity.
Yeah, it was so nice.
And you were like, do you want to connect? And I was like, oh my God. And so it's like from that movie, have you ever watched it, We Bought a Zoo?
Yes, of course.
And So I always tell my kids, all you need is 20 seconds of insane courage. So I'm running around my house going, look, she answered me. She answered me.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're so sweet.
And her fawn was like, it's probably her people. And I was like,
No.
now you can tell me, was it you or was it your people?
It was not my people. It was me. Here's my people.
So speaking of your people, your social media community, wow, has grown so quickly. What do you think has resonated with them?
It's interesting. I was on social media for a very long time, but it really wasn't until I was talking about things that were really uncomfortable where people were like, hey, we want to hear more. And I also think it's just the fact that we're all having the same things going on, right? We're all having the same conversations quietly or within our, in person with our friends, but maybe we weren't having it outwardly. Mm-hmm. And I think that made a huge difference. And I also think that community at this age is very, very different than it was for me anyway. Like, I remember hearing the word community, but I don't know if I really understood what it meant. I was like, oh, it's a few friends I work with, a few people I know in my neighborhood. But now I understand what community really means. And so I think that's where a lot of that comes from too.
Yeah, because patients will often describe menopause as so isolating.
Yeah, of course.
Or filled with stigma, taboo, and particularly when they're not getting help from their doctors, because we were definitely part of the problem, and hoping now we're part of the solution. So I think using your platform to teach people and also to bring them in this community actually help them feel less lonely. Do you think that's why they were so drawn to the platform?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. I think that it's because we have real conversations. They're not really masked with a lot. People are talking to me in my bathrobe, in my
in your closet,
my bathroom, in my closet, like in a lot of different places. So I feel like there's nowhere else to hide. And then I feel like, there's a large group of us out there as women in midlife that have felt like, hey, are our best years behind us? Or, is that it? Is there something ahead? And so I think when we start seeing examples of each other being that like best version of ourselves, you want to be around that and you want to share in it. And so, every time I see a woman doing something incredible, I'm like, oh, let me lift up your platform, interview you 100 times. I mean, I love that. That gets me really excited at the end of the day. And so I think that we're all kind of that way. I
love that, lifting each other up, because my whole life was looking for mentors and needed other, people that could help. So reinventing yourself at any age is daunting.
Oh gosh, it's so daunting.
Yeah. And so you moved from this, I don't want to say seasoned, but this unbelievable career in journalism, and you dove into healthcare, and not just any healthcare. You dove into a space that's typically been dismissed, taboo, stigma, shame. I mean, that's where you went, Tamsen.
Yeah, one we know very little about.
And lack of data.
Yeah, and lack of data, funding, money.
How did that feel?
It's funny. I this morning, in fact, I went back to one of the stations that I've been to before to do an interview. So now I'm like on the other side of it. And I was like, oh, wow, I spent a really long time in news. I was a journalist, a news anchor for about 30 years. And so, and I was thinking about it. I was like, wow, I'm not back there. Like, somebody said, like, do you miss it? And I said, no, because I'm still telling stories and I'm still telling storytelling. And so I think that that's the exciting part of what I do. But yeah, walking away from something that's the only thing I had known for 3 decades. Like, that's like my 20s, my 30s, my 40s, half my 50s. Like, that's hard. And so it didn't come with like, I'll just wake up in the morning and whimsically leave my job. It took with a lot of thought, and it took a lot of time, and it took planning financially. And it just took a lot of things that, are necessary to make a leap like that. And look, I woke up like months after and I'm like, did I do the wrong thing? Oh my God, what did I do? But I know 100% I didn't. It's just like the unknown is really scary. It's just really scary when you just, you don't know exactly what that roadmap looks like.
It also took balls, Tamsen. Let's be honest.
I have a few of those.
Just a little.
I'm learning I have a few of those. I don't think I knew that I did. I think that because
ours are just internal.
Ours are just internal.
Ovaries,
ours
right?
are just internal. It's so true.
But I think, this book coming out, All the Cool Girls Get Fired.
Yeah, yes, of course.
And I think they talk about looking at these opportunities rather than being thrown into this like desert.
Yeah.
Think about it like a beach.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what you did with this,
Oh, thank you. I like that.
right? You reframed it for so many women and they're looking to you now
Oh,
thinking
thank
it's
you.
not the end.
Thank you. I don't think it is the end, though. And I do think that there was this time where we looked at it like, don't know what to do. Now what? And I think we have so much more, to give and to morph into and to create. And so I don't think there's just like a second chapter. I think there's endless chapters to be able to move into. And I don't know that we all have a plan. Like I don't think when I left my job, I was like, okay, I'm going to be a blah, blah, blah. Like I just knew that I knew what I wanted to talk about and I knew what was important. And that I was working on the documentary at the time, but I didn't even, this, I didn't even know where that was going. I didn't know what was happening with it. We were told it was a niche audience. We were told that nobody would want a documentary about menopause, like 2 boring words, back to back. So I had faith in like what the message was. I didn't have faith in what the execution was quite yet.
I think people had a lot of faith in you too. We met on Zoom with my crazy, we both talk about our backgrounds and our crazy curly hair normally. Yeah. And I think I met you on a Zoom with my sister and co-founder with crazy hair. And then I showed up at Joe's house and she shot my whole segment on an iPhone.
I know. It's, what that was like, Dr. Sharon Malone, she came on her birthday. We like gave her a cupcake. We were like, happy birthday. Thank you for doing the interview. So, I think that when I look at it, I'm like, I'm so proud of what we did because it was really, it was raw and it was, but we just knew we needed, voices that were out there talking and that were very vocal and that really could distill the information that women didn't have and make it understandable. And then also try to figure out how to get as many women's voices in at the same time so people would see themselves, because we didn't want it to just be all experts. We wanted the women to be explaining their stories too. So, my partners are incredible. And so we just kept going. We were like, we're going. All right, Dr. Somi's next. We're going. What's next? And, and when it came together, I think we were all sitting in the theater. We were like, oh my gosh, it's real. But what's come out of it is not really the film that's been so spectacular as a result. It's been the conversation afterwards, to me. Anyway.
I think the global community, not just in the United States, the global community and the response.
Yeah.
What I love the most about that story is how many no's did you get? It's almost like fundraising.
So many.
No audience, no. And you're like, okay, you can underestimate me and watch me.
Yeah.
I love that you took that attitude.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had to because otherwise it wouldn't get done. And we just had one no after another. And I remember thinking like, why aren't I not trying to do something easier? Like, why am I doing this? This is hard. But I also knew at the end of the day that what we were talking about was so important and there was so much confusion about it. And so now we've been in over 400 plus cities, over 42 countries. Yeah, I don't know what the latest count is. I think it's like 45, but yeah, it's amazing. Like that's amazing. And we have people, reaching out all different ways. I've had now men are talking about it, that their wives have taken them to a screening. We have a screening coming, we have a lot of screenings coming up. So it's exciting to see.
So I was out with my neighbors this past week, and one of my male neighbors came up to me, and he wanted me to give you a message.
Oh.
So he thinks that the movie, because he watched it at the Cincinnati screening, and he said he was blown away.
Oh.
And he said that I not only think that all men or partners should be forced to watch this. I got so much insight into what's going on with my wife beyond the hot flashes.
Right.
Emotional and just everything that she's going through. He said that, and we learned this at the Oprah taping, I think like over 70% of women attribute menopause to divorce. Like if you ask them or their symptoms or, what was going on. And he thinks that before people actually go through divorce, they should be asked to watch the movie.
Wow, that's so interesting.
I've never heard that comment before. That's why I was like, I'm going to bring that message to her and be like,
oh, thank you.
Should we give this, maybe not to a divorce
lawyer.
Like
mediators or therapists, like, marriage counselors.
Yes.
But I do think there is this whole next wave of where we need to have education because somebody stood up. It's that's so interesting. Thank you. because it's going to make
It's the
my
first
mind.
time. Yeah, no, because it's the first time I
Yeah.
heard it too. And
That's
I
the
was like,
first
no,
time I've
I
heard
am
that.
going to see her this week and I'm going to take that
Good.
message
Thank
to her.
you. Thank you. I like
yes.
that. I think that there's just this whole wave of other disciplines that are going to benefit from learning about menopause in general. And I'm seeing some of them come to the forefront now. And so I think that's super exciting to say like, hey, I want to learn. I want to know what's going on, whether they're doctors or, in other fields.
I told you we're all learning.
I know.
I joke. I knew menopause was coming from my hair and my vagina. I did not know it was coming from my teeth. I learned that thanks to the M Factor. So you're so open on your social media, but I'm still going to do some rapid fire questions.
I love rapid fire so much.
Okay, good. What is your go-to drink on a Friday night?
Oh, go-to drink on a Friday night. Well, lately, honestly, it's been mocktails. And so my husband makes one with soda water, lime, and seed lip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like it. Yeah.
I need to try that. Okay.
But the old Tamsen loves champagne.
Oh, God. I do recall clinking some glasses of bubble.
Yeah, I mean, I still have it. I'm not going to pretend I don't.
All right. Workday, AM, go-to beverage.
Go-to black coffee.
Yes.
It's right over there.
Last picture on your phone that you're willing to talk about.
Oh, gosh. You know what? I took a picture of a dog in Starbucks today.
What kind of dog was it?
But it had like 4 white paws and it was like gorgeous. It was like, I don't know. It looked like it was like, I don't know. I don't know what kind of dog. It was just pretty. It reminded me of my lab that I had a long time ago.
One myth about menopause that you want to debunk today.
Oh gosh, hormone therapy and the confusion over hormone therapy. Like I keep thinking like everyone's heard it by now. And I was just at another location and 2 women were like, what? I thought it was dangerous. And I went, oh no, you're 2 of the people that have not heard this yet. So then I went into this whole, this whole spiel about it. And, but yeah, I wish we could I feel like as a member of the media for such a long time, we did such a disservice that I feel like it's almost like I try to double time my message to make up for that because that's really sad.
And I was part of the first wave that was graduating when that happened and called down.
Were.
And I feel like I also own that because we just took the media for what they said rather than pushing.
Totally.
We should have pushed back on the data interpretation.
I mean,
right?
I wish I'd even known, but you hear something so big like that and it has so much weight and authority and then it like moves around very quickly that it's almost hard to catch it.
Yeah, but that is my biggest regret about that moment too, because it was live as I was, just finishing my residency. Who has been one of your biggest inspirations during your transition into being this healthcare advocate that you truly are?
Oh gosh, one of my biggest inspirations. I mean, I will say that I'll say this. I'm so close to my dad, but my husband has been amazing with it. He is an entrepreneur at heart. He started his own company in his 30s with a family and, everything to lose and just, and really has been the person that's like, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. So just do it. And so every once in a while, he'll be like, you remember when you were sitting there asking me? And so I go, okay, enough. Lesson learned. But he's just been really incredible. Ira's like, he's always in a good mood. He's taught me how to like ebb and flow with problems and not panic about them. I still panic, but, not panic as much as I would usually do that.
And he's such a good sport about it all. Yeah. And Tamsen, he's so proud of you. I get to spend time with him in Vegas because you guys were so generous and we all went out to dinner. And he was just beaming the whole night.
Sweet. He's very sweet.
And has no problem with you taking center stage. I love it.
Or talking about our sex life. So that's good.
You went there. You may have gotten some encouragement by the advocates and experts you talked to. Describe your book, How to Menopause. Ooh, in just 3 words.
Oh, 3 words.
Word count.
I'll say Your Girlfriend's Guide. Or can I do 4?
You can do 4. I'll give you 4. Your
Girlfriend's Guide to Menopause.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
Love it. Self-care ritual you swear by.
Oh, I love my eye patches in the morning. I swear by, I swear by those. And I think, that's my biggie. That's my biggie right now is the eye patches because I'm seeing some,
I was wearing
Stuff
mine this
under
morning.
there.
Which ones do you like?
Peter Thomas Roth, the gold ones.
Okay. I'm using the one by, is it Selena Gomez? Is that
Oh, are they good?
The Rare Beauty? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't tried
I
any
like
other ones,
those.
so
Those
these are the
have got
ones.
a lot of caffeine. So if
They
you're
do?
puffy,
Oh, really? I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like, I started doing these ice baths with my face
Yeah.
if I'm going to do makeup, because I don't do makeup every day now. And I'm liking that. That's a thing I'd never done
did you
before.
see the thing though on TikTok that it
Yeah, it has the
I
ice.
haven't bought
I
that,
think
but
I did buy
actually-
it. I did buy it, but I was like, it was dripping all over my face.
Yeah.
I just like stuck my.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Trust me, I've TikToked everything.
TikTok. All right. So you know where I'm going to take you next.
I don't know. I don't know where we're going.
The Tamsen train. No.
Okay.
Let's talk about sex.
Okay. It's my favorite topic with you.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
And one of our first conversations was talking about the stark contrast in availability for male patients versus female.
Yeah.
You challenged me on that. And I love it. I feel like I love surrounding myself with powerful, strong women who will challenge me.
Yeah.
And you were like, you were true to your journalistic roots. You went right into that investigation mode and you were like, are you sure about that? What did you uncover in your journey, like looking into sexuality and sexual healthcare options for women?
Yeah. Well, I think I'd never given it any thought, first of all. Like, that's the truth, until I started going into this area. And even when I did this, and you did the medical review of my book, and you were the one that said to me, oh, you got to go deeper in this. And I was like, really? I was trying to kind of top line the sex chapter. And you're like, oh no, you have to go deeper. And so I'm like, I think what I realized is, one, obviously it's a very uncomfortable conversation for a lot of people. Two, we do have to have doctors asking about that, because most women are not going to want to bring that up. And so I'm hopeful that, maybe that's something that we figure out at some point that doctors start to do. And three, I guess what I uncovered was the how unbalanced it all is. Like, I had no idea. There were so many medicines, so many different options for men and none for women. And then I had no idea that vaginal estrogen was so good for women for so many other reasons outside of sex, and could be such a great help, which is something that is relatively easy. Like, I just, so many things. Like, people always ask, like, what's the most surprising thing you learned? I'm like, I learned like 50 things. Like, everything has surprised me about this, honestly. And I feel like I get surprised every single day. Every single day somebody asks me a question, I get surprised again.
Oh yeah, when I got to, because I got to obviously pre-read the book, and I was so excited, and I got to the sex chapter, and I was like, oh no.
I know.
She's a journalist, and I was like, that's where I got to push back. I was like, you have this platform, you have this voice, you have this captive audience. These women need this information, and thank God you actually listened.
Thank God you did that. It's funny. Somebody just told me recently that on Facebook, in our Facebook group, that she sat down and read the chapter with her husband.
Oh.
And I thought that was so cool. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I get excited. I'm not a doctor, obviously. But I do feel like that advocacy can come in different ways and in different areas. And when I see men jumping into that conversation like that, and the sex chapter was a big one. So thank goodness that you made me
go there,
and then go there again.
But didn't you? And you also just got highlighted on Oprah Daily, right?
Yeah.
What was the tagline? The journalist who went there with her.
I don't remember what it was. But it was like it was like, I don't remember. It was like such a good turn of phrase too.
Yeah,
but you go look it up.
But the one who was willing to talk about her sexual health.
Yeah.
Because
Somi made me.
Somi made me.
Somi made me do it.
I'm not gonna let you talk to my husband, because that's what he's gonna say. So, so I loved collaborating with you on that chapter of your book, because you didn't push back hard, and you were so open to, I think the intention was so amazing to me, that you wanted to just help women. And that's why I started my company. I was like, it wasn't to make money. God, there are other ways to make money.
I know. There's easier ways to do that.
But how did that vulnerability feel? Because that is, you and I joke about it.
Yeah, of course.
But you were the one who had to put yourself out there. How did that feel?
I think I was, somebody asked me about the writing process, and I was like, when I was writing initially, because I've always written everybody else's story, right? That's what I've done as a journalist forever. And so, and I love writing, and I love interviewing people. And so, when I was first doing the story, it was very like 30,000 feet, right? And then I sat down and I'm like, oh, I need to be as real as everybody else is being real with me. And so then I dug in and just like wrote, pretending nobody was going to read it. And we used a lot of that. Like that's what I wound up using in the end edits of the stuff that I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if anyone's going to. And so the sex chapter is one example because I talk about like this big red bow that Ira wanted me to wear like naked for Christmas.
No. You're going to wait, stop. We're going to slow down because I didn't know if you were going to go there with that story, but now we are because that's like the Naomi Watts story with the patch, right? And so what did Ira want for Christmas?
He wanted me, I said, what do you want for Christmas and the holidays? And we're like newly together. He goes, I want you naked, just wrapped in a big red bow. And I was like, okay. So I literally went to a store and I got a huge red bow and it was so uncomfortable. I like put it around me and I opened the door naked with this bow and it was like great. It was like sexy and great. And then the next year he asked me for the same thing. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm not doing that. Like I had no more libido. I was like, nah. And so, and he had not read that I wrote the story because, we got married also when I was 50. So like I had no libido on the honeymoon, there's a lot of stuff that came with it. And so I did catch him like when we got the hardcovers of the book, like the first few that came out, and he was like at the dining room table, and I walked in and I saw him reading it like, And I go, how is it? He was like, well, there's a lot in here, and I was like, I know. And he goes, wow, you didn't run this by me. And I go, well, I knew you would probably like have some edits, and I already had enough edits to the book, so no, thank you.
But he's just such a good sport about it.
He is a good sport.
And I did love that story because I think it just, when you share a story like this, I mean, the impact of storytelling.
Yeah, of course.
It was like, oh, I can see her doing that. And then in just a year, and you call yourself the menopausal bride, not me.
Yeah, no, I did, but I really was. Like I completely like we were in the most beautiful of places, the most romantic of places, basically like sitting on the ocean, gorgeous room, honeymoon, wonderful. And I was just like, it was just painful. Sex is painful at that point, and just had no libido at all, none. Yeah. But I thought that, and I had already started doing hormone therapy, but that just wasn't enough at that point, And so I went into testosterone and vaginal estrogen, and so I guess I thought like, okay, I did my hormone therapy. I took care of that problem, not realizing like it's something you have to keep working on and you have to keep being aware of, and the person that you're having sex with, that relationship has to go to another level of communication. Like I guess I thought I was still having sex like I was 20 or 25 and not thinking, I had to work at it or anything.
And so many women, I love the way you started describing that. They do that. I love my partner. It's not the relationship. Like, what is wrong with me?
Oh, it feels awful.
It feels awful and totally out of your control. And for you.
And you doubt yourself and you doubt everything around you.
Yeah. And like, what is going on? And so many women, that's why they feel broken or they feel invisible. And then they try to go to their doctor and they find out there's not that many treatment options. And so you brought up testosterone. Were you shocked when you were doing all of this research, both with the documentary and the book, as to what a hot button topic testosterone?
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea at all. First, I didn't even understand there was an FDA-approved testosterone for women. Like I that's what I'm saying. I learned so much over time, but I didn't realize what a hot button issue it was. I didn't realize that it's so confusing to a lot of women. And vaginal estrogen, I had no idea. Like I just, I thought like, are you serious? Another thing? But that was my feelings about it. And it's all been so pivotal for me. I just there was so much you don't understand. And this is me doing this full out. So I can imagine how frustrating it is for all of us that are like, oh, I see my doctor once a year. Yeah. Try to have that 15-minute conversation at best, if that, get it all figured out. So I really wanted, when I wrote the book, I think it shifted from what it was started out to what it is. And it started out like who, what, where, when of menopause, right? And now when I look at it and how the writing kind of transformed and the conversation transformed, I wanted it to be, this is a book I want you to bring as a guide into your doctor if they don't understand it. And even if they do, to say, here's the symptoms, here's the script when I don't feel comfortable, here's what's going on in my sex, circle it. I don't care. I want you to like mark it up. But I wanted it to be that kind of book so that it doesn't have to be read cover to cover. it can be read like in the area that you need it. So if maybe your sex life is great right now, but sleep is awful.
Right.
Or maybe you're having a hard time figuring out a balance of nutrition and movement or what to do. So that's great, but or that's a mess, but your sleep is great. I wanted it to be that kind of, I call it like the Simple Abundance book, where you open it and you're like, this is just what I needed today. So, and I call it brain fog proof because I wanted to distill, very dense, things that can be hard and complicated studies.
Wait, did you just say brain fog proof?
Yeah, totally.
I love
Totally.
that
Because
so
I
much.
needed it. Like I was still going through some really serious brain fog while I was writing it. And I'm like, what does the study say? And so we did some serious research to this much of the book is like studies in the back.
I think I saw a picture of you on social media. Did you have like color-coded Post-its or something?
Oh yeah. That's the only way I can do anything. Yeah.
You were sitting, it reminded
I'm
me
way
of,
old school. I'm way old school.
Oh, that's the way I studied in medical school. My husband would call it like the circle of disaster. Like I would
that's so
have
funny.
all of my books and notes around me, but I was like, I remember distinctly seeing a picture of her, and I think that's how she categorized what chapters are.
All the chapters and what I needed to work on, which ones, like some of the Post-it notes. So there's these little tabs. So I had the little ones that you stick on the paper.
Yeah.
And so those would be like the interviews that I still need, or the ones that needed to be like gone through. Those were different colors from the actual women's stories to the actual Post-it notes per each chapter. Yeah, it was, I have like a set of highlighters. Yeah, but that's the only way my head works. And I really did need it because I would go write and then I would like go to sleep. And then the next day I'd be like, oh, it's a new day. What did I do yesterday? Like I couldn't tell you and I'd be like, did I write that? Oh, okay. And so I really had to like, okay, this is what we're doing today, Tamsen. And I'd write the note, like interview Somi, call her at 2:00, record the interview. That's how basic it had to be.
You're hysterical.
It's the only way.
What is, as you walked in this room, I said my favorite social media post very recently was one of you and your dad, because I know how incredible his support has been and your relationship is. But so all this care and consideration went into this book. And what is the news that you just got very recently about your book?
We hit the New York Times bestsellers list. So
say it louder, friend.
We hit the New York Times bestsellers list.
Can you believe it?
I'm super excited. No, I get excited. Like I looked at the list and I kind of pulled back and I'm like, oh, the word menopause stands out to me, which I think is really cool. I love that. I love it. I love the fact that menopause is on there, and it's super exciting.
I just literally watching you, because I've watched you from the beginning of this. I got goosebumps from my ankles, to my eyeballs, because I agree with you. And I never thought in our lifetime we would see a menopause book in the New York Times bestseller.
How to Menopause. I'm like, what? I don't know. We got the phone call. I was, it was really amazing.
And then how was that sharing that with your dad?
Oh, he's so cute. Like at first he's like, what does that mean? Like they always want to like, what do you get for that? And I said, but he was so cute. He was super excited. He answered when I got there, and he had been reading the book, and he was like, yeah, it's easy to read. And I go, yeah. And he goes, some of the stuff I should have known 20 years ago. And I go, okay, I guess so. And so it's really funny. We even talked about testosterone, because he was like, do you think that I should have done testosterone? Because I'm feeling like my arms are a little flabby. And I go, Dad, I said, I am not equipped to give you that advice at 85 about testosterone. I don't know. So I said, you're going to have to ask a doctor.
You have stood in front of cameras your entire career. But I don't think ever with a message this personal, this powerful. If you had 1 minute, and you get to go now, to speak directly to any or every individual who has either felt dismissed, invisible, or shamed for going through menopause, what do you want to say to that person?
I think I would say you're not alone in that. Eventually that you'll be able to move past that, but you have to take charge, and no one else is going to do it for you. And that's the hard thing about being a woman, is that no one else is going to do it for us, so we're going to have to go into the doctor's office with the list of symptoms. We're going to have to call a telehealth practice with the list of symptoms. We're going to have to pay attention to ourselves for the first time in our lives, which is really hard to do when there's a million things going on. And we have to know it's not our fault that this has happened. It's not something to be shameful. about. And I think that we do feel that way. I felt shameful. I felt like I wasn't woman enough. I felt like I didn't take care of myself when I was younger. Like, how did I let this happen? There's a narrative that plays with a lot of this. But I want to say on the other side of it, it's going to be some of the most incredible times of your life when you get those symptoms under control. Mm-hmm. It's going to be this roadmap that you could never have imagined. And I hope you call me on the other side of it and just tell me how great it is.
When I look at Lisa Mosconi's like map of brain and plateau, I'm like, I want to be the top graph.
I know.
The one who ends up better after menopause,
me
right?
Too. I always I'm like, Lisa, does it go all the way up or does it go higher by chance?
Emotional regulation, check.
Right. Does it go
take
up here?
That. Yes, empathy. So I think the key takeaways from talking to you are, don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
Follow your heart. You can start again.
Yes.
At any age. And really, I think it's about community and creating
100%.
that community of support.
100%. It's everything you've done. It's everything you've done and continue to do. And I think that and that's why I like sharing people's stories, because when we see one woman do it and another, that builds a momentum that I think will someday be pretty incredible to the next generation, because I do think that this change is real. I don't think it's a passing fancy or a trend. Somebody said to me recently, they went to their doctor, asked about perimenopause, menopause, and the doctor said, it's just a trend. It's just trendy right now.
Oh, God.
And I was like, no, it's a transition and it's forever. It's not trendy. It doesn't come and go like a passing, fleeting thought. So, I do feel like this is a time for real change, but I think it's not just what happens in the doctor's office. It's outside of that. That 360 approach is really what I want women to embrace.
So, the podcast is called The Disruptor. So what is, and initially I've been called a disruptor, utterly unemployable. Because some people take disruption as a negative thing, right?
Well,
Like you just
it's uncomfortable for some people. Yeah, of course.
So what does true disruption mean to you? Because I identify you. I'm inviting disruptors here. Say it again.
Freedom. I think freedom for yourself. I think freedom for someone else's story. I think freedom for, what we need to do to get to the next place. Because you have to have that. You can't be confined and try to get to the next place. You've got to be able to have those roads opened up to get to something else. I mean, imagine not talking about this and everybody continuing another cycle of this and another cycle of this. It's just...
I think the opposite of disruption or freedom is, well, it's always been done this way.
Yeah,
that's what I heard.
Of course.
Well, why would you want to change it? It's always been done this way. I was like, oh, well, I'd rather be a bad employee, be an entrepreneur. And
I was for a while.
We make the best entrepreneurs and the best disruptors.
Yes, we do.
So, Tamsen, how do people find you? Tell us what's going on in your life. I mean,
I'm very loud, so they'll be able to hear. Tamsen Fadal on social media. Howtomenopause.com is where the book is, or anywhere you get books. And and I'm always around. I think I'm going to be wherever you are, probably, right?
And you're on a book tour as well.
And I'm on a book tour right now. So I've got a couple of cities that we're heading toward. We have Chicago, Miami, Dallas, Los Angeles again, and then Connecticut. So we got some fun ones in DC. Yep.
Well, thank you for being here with me.
Thank you for having me. I like disrupting with you.
I love, and I want to encourage all of you to disrupt with us. Listen to us at The Disruptor. drsomi.com is where you can find the newsletter with the matching name, The Disruptor. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.